Hey, what's up guys, it's Connery, and as promised, this is the review on the Shimano Aero Technium 10,000 size. It's the XSC model. This is the one that's available in the United States. Yes, there are other models out there, but Shimano has decided they're only going to carry this one in the United States. And I don't know why. Maybe everybody needs to write Shimano because they got some pretty cool surf stuff that they're not bringing over. And I'm pretty ticked off about it, to be honest with you. So anyways, this is the reel we got. This is the reel that's going to be up for review. And it's already pretty scratched up and dinged up. So we're going to tell you what's good and what's not good about it. Like I said, this is the Aero Technium SXC 10,000 size. Comes with two spools. Same depth spools. But they are different color. We got one that's looks like gunmetal and one that's painted black. Okay. So I guess that's to help you remind yourself of what you got. So this is 55 or 50 pound max quattro, and that's a 30 pound max quattro. 300 yards of max quattro will go right on to this spool. Okay, so that it holds, was it 300 or was it 500? I couldn't remember, but an entire spool goes right onto it. I was a little amazed when I did that. I believe it was 500 yards. I could be wrong. The specs are on here. You guys can research that yourself, because the right reason why I say that is because a lot of people use different line thicknesses. Because if you use braid, it's going to be a lot more. If you use fluorocarbon, it's a lot less. If you use mono, it's even less than that. And this reel is designed for braid. Okay. At least that's what I can understand, because a super slow oscillation like that is designed for braid. Alright. Okay, so let's see. Let's go over the reel a little bit. Well, actually, step back one sec. This reel, we bought it for the Cape Cod trip, and that trip was going to be mainly surf fishing in the canals, and surf fishing on the beach. Okay, so we wanted, or at least I wanted, at the time I had this reel. And I just had an idea that one was just not going to cut it, because everybody I talked to, everyone I talked to, or all of our fans that we've talked to that live in the area. We're from Massachusetts ourselves, and we fished ocean waters before. And for the most part, you're not always going to need a long cast reel, but there's always those crazy blitz stories where the stripers are just out of reach, and you have to do your best to get out there, but you're still not going to get out there. So that's why I decided to pick this up. Retail on one of these bad boys, it is expensive. It is very, very, very focused reel, and it's definitely not for everybody. Well, the price point of this is $650. Okay, I paid $630 on Amazon. I got it shipped to me literally a month before it went out. And let me just give you a size comparison so you guys can see what's going on. So if you look at it side by side, that's what you'll get. Okay, it's a big jump from like an 8,000. That's an 8,000. Okay, so that's a big reel for most people. This is what most people will usually throw, at least for stripers. 3,000 and 4,000 Shimanos. That's a Stratic. That's a Stella. Very, very popular. Very, very well known reels, and for a good matter. When you take a 4,000 and you step it up against one of these bad boys, okay, there you go. See the difference? It's a massive difference. See the top? This thing is literally twice the size of this. Okay, and that's a 4,000 reel. That's a good size reel for the freshwater market. And let's say 3,000, that's for crappies, white bass, everything. 8,000, I've used it for stripers, catfish, you name it. All the heavy lifting has been on this reel for a while. And then we buy that. So this is not the first time we've ever ventured into the long cast reels. So what is a long cast reel, and how many long cast reels do we have or have lots of feedback on? So long cast reels, for the first couple of years that we were on YouTube, there was a lot of striper fishing, right? Striper fishing, you guys see it. Senior Lake videos, Keystone videos, a bunch of other videos. Even when we're on the John boat, we still bring a long cast reel, because there's going to be times where you're just going to need it, okay? So that long cast reel comes in handy. So before, we started using the traditional reels like these, and they did their job, but there's going to be those times, specific times of the years, where there's going to be a lot of people in the places you fish, and everybody's going to be trying to outcast the other person right next to them. And it gets to the point where the fish seem like they get smart. They don't come to the shore, okay? And that's when you either buy a drone and fly your baits out there, or two, you just buy a fishing reel, okay? Fishing reel, rods, everything balances out, and you should be able to hit them. So that's another reason why I bought this. Cape Cod, those crazy stories. Stripers are blitzing in the middle of the canal. Nobody can hit them, except for the guys that are running long spools. If you run long spool, you will be able to reach them. It's just that simple, okay? And equipment is expensive because probably just due to materials in this reel. It is lighter than most of your other long spools. I believe it was an 18-ounce reel. This is a 22-ounce reel, so this is actually a lot heavier than that. Primarily, it doesn't say, but I thought it was made out of magnesium. I thought it was a magnesium frame, but I can't be 100% sure because it's not written anywhere. But I think that might be one of the main reasons. Yeah, so even though it's a much bigger reel, it's still lighter than this one, okay? That's cool. The spools are the same exact spools. They're same in, well, here's your depth in your spool so everybody can see. Same spool sizes, plenty of line on it. You're not gonna get unspooled on that unless you catch a shark or something, or some ridiculously big striper that pulls you down the river. What I've been throwing on it is basically plugs, for the most part. Plugs, 3-ounce plugs, a lot of plugs and more plugs. 3-ounce plugs, 2-ounce plugs. It throws it perfect. It doesn't even struggle, and that's the main thing about these long cast reels. So long cast reels, what makes them different, right? Okay, so let's get this done and over with. Long cast spools, there you go, bam. See the difference? It's literally twice the height, 4 times the size. Okay, that's a long spool. This is the 8000. An idea what that is? Still about almost twice. Almost twice. So that's why. Okay, long spool. What can you do with it? What is recommended? What is not recommended? So with a long spool, it's exactly what it is. So you want this reel if you want to cast far, but you don't expect to cast far if you have this reel on a 7-footer. Okay, this reel, at minimum, you need at least a 10'6" surf rod, and it has to be a surf rod too. Something that's got a fast tip, good backbone on it. When you whip it, it needs to fly quick. The velocity coming off your initial whip has to be real fast. If you leave it up to me, if I had to pick one, I'd say definitely a 12-footer. 12-footer is something that can throw something between a 1.5 ounce and a 5-6 ounce. Something in that range. It'll be more than perfect. But primarily, to get the maximum range, I think right at that 2 ounce, 3 ounce is right where you really want to be. And these things will fling it out there. They'll fling it out there real good. How much more distance is probably a question that someone's going to ask. The difference between a traditional reel and a long spool reel or a long casting reel, pretty much 30 yards right off the bat. You're going to get at least 30 yards right off the bat. That's just not even debatable. Okay, at this point, it's just not even debatable. We fished it so many years. We've got so much footage on it. We've pretty much, when we first started, we bought stuff like this. I bought, a long spool, and then I put it on my 10-foot rod, or 9.5 foot rod, and then if we put on a 12, and instantly you can see the big jump in casting distance. It got so good that we convinced every one of our fishing friends to get one. And our fishing friends, we got about, outside our group, there's about 10 of them. And at first, no one was convinced. And then you take them out a couple times, and you just literally, to be frank, you literally dominate that day. You go out, you will always outcast these guys. And then, guess what happens? They go out, they buy one too. And that's how you know something's working, is when you go out, you're the only one catching him. And then a week later, a month later, you see these guys again, and then everybody's sporting a long spool. Now, a lot of choices in the market for a long spool, but this along with another reel from Daiwa, the Daiwa Basia, Basia. There's strict competition. There's a lot of debate about it. We do have the Basia also, the QD45 or QDX45, and we're running that. We're running this one. As far as I can tell you, they're about the same. It's going to boil down to whether you like the Daiwa brand better or the Shimano brand better. There's slight differences the slight little differences that I think will sway you over one or the other. The thing about the Daiwa is I think they have a better lip design on the spool. And let me show you this lip design. It's a really small lip. The Daiwa has a real long lip, okay? I don't know if I can... Actually, I don't know where that reel's at. But this one... Actually, let me show you that right now. This is a Daiwa. Yeah, we're the only guys that will review multiple brands at the same time. So here's a Daiwa, and here's a Shimano. Okay, if you look at the spool, see the difference? There's a big difference. Daiwa's definitely longer, okay? And Daiwa's got a much more aggressive lip on this side. And this doesn't do much justice because it's like literally overspooled. But that's the Daiwa. Now, I think the Daiwa spool is better, just me, in the way my mind works. But the Shimano has got this part down. That super slow oscillation is crazy. Look at that. Okay, hold on. Back one sec. This is a normal reel. Pay attention to how fast this spool moves up and down. See how fast that is? Okay, so it's almost like it moves up once every 2 turns of the handle, something like that, right? Okay, check this out. Okay, it's bottomed out. That's about halfway. Alright, there it is. See that? Super slow oscillation. What does that do for you? That basically puts your line almost side by side. Instead of going at a steep angle, it literally almost lines it line by line by line. Now, this is the Daiwa. See how the Daiwa is more of a traditional reel? It goes up and down like that. Big props to this. Big props to this. I believe that's a major player in the super long casting. But that feature is only available on this reel, okay? No other reel on the market has that feature. They just don't. So, that's where this reel will shine for those guys that want that super slow oscillation. Now, what does that do? When it's packed on so tight like that, when you max whip and the line comes off, it feels like it doesn't struggle to come off. Like, it goes like that, and the line literally comes off in a circle. It literally feels like it's just casually coming off. Even though it's coming off real fast, it doesn't feel like it's grabbing a bunch of line as it's coming off. Is the only thing I can compare it to. And there's nothing else out there that does that. Okay, so big kudos to that. That's a big, cool design. That's something that, like I said, Shimano, only this reel has. The other long cast reels, the Ultegra, the entire Ultegra line, I believe that's Ultegra line, and all the Daiwas, they don't do that. This is the only one that does that. And I believe that's the one feature that's keeping this at that price point. I believe everything else probably is okay. It is fine. This reel right here, it's still, I mean, to cast something like this out there, it'll still cast massively far. It's just this one feels like it struggles less as you do it. And it's more consistent. So if you're a little bit off on your cast, it still gets it out there. Whereas this one and these, you have to be on your game every time. Okay? So we just gotta put those away. These are some of the reels, like I've said. Stella, Stratic, 2 Stratics, and QD45 Basia. Okay, so this is the name of the game. Okay, that's why you want to buy this reel if you're looking for it. You're not going to be disappointed if you're going to put it on a 12-foot rod. You're not going to be disappointed. Your casting distance is going to skyrocket. The guys around you are just going to be like, "What the hell are you throwing that? What kind of reel is that?" Okay, because you're just going to max cast and you're going to cast past everybody. You're in a different category when you buy one of these long cast reels, and that's one of the reasons why we started buying them back in the days. Granted, now we're a little bit out of it. We're more into multi-species now, as before we're strictly just stripers and wipers and white bass. Now we do a little bit of everything. Stripers, white bass, bass, crappie, everything right now. So this has been kind of on the back burner unless we're doing stripers. Long range stripers will bring it out. Other than that, it just hangs out. Hangs out in the closet. So that's what it's really good for. Throwing, this needs to be attached to surf rod. Throwing big stuff. At least, from what I've seen, it's very comfortable throwing 3 ounces. Very comfortable. Very comfortable throwing anything from 2 to 3 ounce plugs. If you're going to throw it on like a cut bait, chunk bait, whatever you want to call it, crap bait with a 4 ounce sinker on it, and throw it out with a 2 ounce, 3 ounce, 4 ounce piece of macro attached to it, it'll do just fine. And like I said, it'll throw it farther than all the other reels. So it's a win-win on that. Yeah, basically what it does great is distance. Now, what is it not good at? That's one thing that, when you're so focused on something, you have to give up on something else. It's just the name of the game. So this is a problem that we see in the long range community, and it's not something that this reel is going to be immune to. It's going to have the problem, and I haven't seen it just because I know my reels and I don't crank them all the way down. But for the guys that are catching like big fish and they're literally cranking this all the way down where it doesn't even turn anymore, so there's no drag. If you look at just the design aspect of this spool is taller. There's a shaft that goes through the center of this whole reel. This point of pull is actually pretty long, so it gets a lot of torque on this shaft. Let me show you guys the shaft. And what it happens is if you lock this drag down and you fish a lot and you catch a lot of big fish, and especially if you have 50-pound braid on there, it will, over time, it will bend the shaft. This little shaft right here, and not a little shaft, it's a good size shaft, but let me get it back up. There we go. Okay, so in this position is probably where it's the most vulnerable, in the high top position, because the shaft is literally from here just to here, and you're torquing it with almost not the same amount of support, you can say. So actually it might not matter, but anyways, the torque on the arm here, the torque from the arm and the torque from the line going through the arm going to the spool, imaginary spool, it pulls it this way. Okay, it pulls it that way. Over time, this shaft is going to bend. Okay, if you're conservative and if you want to fight the fish, you'll be fine. You'll enjoy a lifetime's fishing. But if you're one of those guys, or say the situation is, if I don't get this fish out of this hole, if I don't get this fish out of these rocks, I'm gonna break them off, and you literally crank it all the way down, and as soon as he hits and you hit him and you crank and he pulls back and something's got to give, that shaft is going to give, okay? Because you're probably not going to break that 50-pound braid, okay? You're probably going to get the fish in, but over the season, you're going to notice that your reel is starting to wobble. And that's a bent shaft. That's what that is. You can always replace it, of course, but just be cautious of that, because if you're going to do something that extreme, this is not the reel for you. Okay, like all those guys that would do like the go over like shipwreck, and you're on top of a boat and you drop directly down on the fish, or say you're fishing for tautogs, where they literally live in the cracks of the rocks. This is not the best setup for that. It's not like you can't do it. You can. It's just it's not the best setup for something like that. You want to go back to something like this, a more traditional design. Even that reel will be perfect for the togs, because they're only like, those fish are only like 10 pounds, and that's perfect, for a big tog. But for something like this, you're kind of, it's really overkill. Okay, for something like this, it's very, very specific for those situations that you'd want to buy one. Like I said, it's for those situations where, like, okay, so you're at the dam, especially in Oklahoma, you're at the dam and you gotta make that cast. That cast that's gonna go 80, 90 yards out there. That's when this comes in handy. Like I said, in some of our videos, you've seen it where we're literally we bomb them out there, yeah, that's when this comes in handy. So there's a couple things I like about it, a couple things I don't. To me, it just seems like it scratches pretty easy for an expensive reel. I mean, I'd expect it to be a little bit better in terms of scratch resistant, but then again, we were putting these on, shells basically, and we did get it scratched after a week. Scratch here, scratch there, scratch there, scratch there. This is all scratched because I was putting it down like that, all scratched up. Spool's a little scratched up. Here's one thing that I did that I didn't like. So during travel, I had this in this bag and I had it in the back of my backpack. And when you're on the plane, I was moving stuff around. Well, somehow this black piece right here got bumped or pressed. It actually got dislodged, which you can see right here. It got dislodged like that, just like that. Okay, y'all see that? It's been dislodged outside of its track, and I fished it an entire day like that. I thought this reel was broken, and I was gonna flame this reel real bad in this review. It turns out it's a simple problem. You can fix it, but it's still a problem. Shimano, you gotta get that fixed. I know you guys got that CI4 technology. That's just literally a cheap piece of plastic, by the way. Let me see. For a $650 reel, that should not be a cheap piece of plastic. I feel like if you press it hard enough, it's gonna break. That's how cheap it feels. Okay. On the flip side, drag is sealed on the top, not really sealed on the bottom. But I don't think water is gonna get in from the bottom. Water probably, more than likely, it's a surf reel. Water's gonna come from the top. So the top is sealed. That is a good thing. But on the flip side, the body is not sealed. So this is not a sealed body. Do not dunk this in the water. It'll definitely corrode, especially if it's salt water. It's mainly, from what I understand, this is a carp reel. So carp reels are freshwater reels. For us Oklahoma guys, it's not going to be a problem. For us saltwater guys, you could definitely still take it out. Just got to rinse it off, Just maintain it. Really, really good. Because I didn't. And after 1 week of fishing, I never dunked it or anything, but just due to salt water or salt in the air for that matter, that's rusted. That's rusted. Okay, just being real. The handle is fine. I actually like it a lot. The radius and the handle. I just don't like this knob. This is a big reel, and you put a little knob on it. It's kind of sad if you look at it compared to the Shimano 4000. It's almost the same size, right? 8000 dwarfs it. Okay, so this guy, definitely a power knob. Recommended upgrade, but I didn't do it yet because I wanted it to be 100% for the review. Bail, it's good. See, I like the reels that do this. Most reels do this, but it always locks in that position. See, locks. Right there. See, that's the best position I like. Some reels don't do this. This is actually one of those little things, one little pet peeves I do, where if you open the bail, I don't want it to lock right there. I actually want it to come all the way back and then lock in that. That way it's just consistent every time. What that does is backlashes, wind knots, stuff like that, it cuts down on it. That's what that does. So that's it. That's the review on the Aero Technium 10,000 size SXC. I'm going to leave a link on the bottom to buy it from Amazon. Like I said, last time I bought it, it was around between $630 to $650 USD. It's worth its weight in dollars because, like I said, when you step up to the long cast reels, the options, there's not like 100 options out there. There's only about maybe well, put it this way, as of 2019, for the only companies that I know that are making them is Daiwa, Shimano, and I believe one other company that's making them long cast reels. Okay, so the options are pretty limited. This is a top tier reel, and so is the Bazia line from Daiwa. And if you wanted the best, that's the one you're gonna get, right? So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are. pick up some stickers from us. We are selling stickers on our online merchandise store now. The merchandise store name is forfishingpeople.com. Help us out with some stickers so we can travel more this year, give you guys more of these videos so we can buy more gear to review, because this is out of our pockets. This is not even from our YouTube money. YouTube does not even pay us for the gas money to go on these trips. So for the most part, YouTube just supplements the gas money for our trips. So the more stickers you guys buy, the more help we get from our viewers, the more cool reviews we can do. And there's a lot more other reels too. There's another video we want to do where I'll literally show you guys how to get expensive reels for half price. I bought this half price. Okay? This reel is a $700 reel. Okay?